All right. God loves the dirty jokes. Book reading 24, chapters 47, and the epilogue, which would be chapter 48. This is it. So 24 videos for 48 chapters. Nice. Multiples of 12. It's very, even though that wasn't pre planned. I have to have my reading glasses because, well, they're fakies. They're buck glasses from the Dollar Tree or whatever that my mom got for me. Because I worked in the house today and now I really can't see close. So it's funny. Some days I need them and sometimes I don't for reading at night. How about you? It's just because I'm 50 and I like to kick. Gabe's over here looking at me when I did that. Sorry, I'm goofing off already. All right, serious. Thank you so much to everybody who watched 1 video, 2 videos, 5 videos, 10 videos, or God help you, 24 videos. For that, you have my endless and eternal gratitude and love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the diehards who have been with these readings, either almost from the beginning or from the beginning. That's awesome. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Okay? You know who you are. So do I. Chapter 47. No soul left behind. Human beings often have it hard. You get pulled into the world and you don't know anything. Everyone is a lifelong student of life. We travel towards a final destination we can never possibly arrive at. Our work and lives go unfinished, but others take up where we left off, into the seemingly infinite future. Maybe that's not entirely true. Perhaps at some point we narrow our goals to the things and people who are truly important to us, and it becomes enough to live for and feel satisfied. I think this is how my mom feels. Raising Steve and I wasn't easy, but she was destined to do it. Almost certainly from the childhood moment she saw an angelic, disabled girl at that wedding reception and asked for a life of mixed blessings. I don't believe in coincidence anymore. To ignore the evidence of my family's experiences would be a denial of reality. If some doubt lingers as to the existence of more than this life, I'd ask you to keep a tiny door open, tiny door ajar somewhere in your mind. Keep it open to incredible possibilities which you haven't yet conceived but might discover and explore in the future. The small sliver is all you need for new good things to potentially come through. My family's journey wasn't reserved only for us. It must be available to anyone who seeks a deeper understanding with an open heart and mind. I'm reminded of the Dalai Lama's speech at the University of Buffalo a few years ago. He said that empathy for all living beings is the key to life, including those we perceive as our enemies. He acknowledged the difficulty of trying to live this way at all times. His ease in relating his philosophy was inviting and kind. The Dalai Lama ended by saying that if those who'd listened had found it valuable, he was happy. If others felt it did not apply and was to be dismissed entirely, that was fine. I thought that was perfect. Similarly, if you find my ideas useful, I'm glad. If not, that's okay. The teenage atheist version of me would have been highly skeptical and dismissive of who I am now. And maybe that's the way it should be. If this were a movie, the present version of me would go back in time and wrestle with my teenage self to save the future. If I make it to my 70s or 80s, I wonder what that guy will say about the man I am now. I think it's worth repeating, and I often say to myself, it's never too late to change. That's a biggie. You can always take a different course and become a better person. Life on the outside sharpened my edges, and as much as I try to be empathetic when I encounter willful ignorance, some anger remains. I've told myself for many years that I need an edge for self-defense and survival. That's how it always felt, but at times I've been too harsh. I work to stay peaceful in my mind, to let stupidity slide off like slime, to smile at the challenge and gift of life. Oh, come now. Come now, Paige. Turn for me. One of the things I loved about writing this, which simultaneously drove me nuts, was to discover that no matter how eloquently or clumsily I may have stated my thoughts on a subject. Inside my brain, the strength of my position was usually still challengeable from some angle, as if the more I wrote and the closer I thought I might be getting to a truth, then the more fixed my position became. Once you fix your position, then you have eliminated and closed yourself off from many other possibilities. Well, all of them. No, I still can't see it. On a quantum level, scientists believe they discovered that the universe is all possibilities, which may be why when we think we've reached a destination, we still experience uncertainty, as if the act of slotting into place is unsatisfying, which also implies that no matter how much we think we know, it's always good to rethink our bedrock ideas. No single perspective is truth. Many ways of living work for as many ways of living work for as many different types of people who exist. I really believe that too. I have friends who are really unlike me, even politically, and they're not all. I'm not even going to go there. They're not all red hat goofballs. They're just different. They have different beliefs. Perhaps there's a perverse beauty to building our supposedly core beliefs and identity only to realize it can all be stripped from us by a natural disaster, unexpected illness, asteroid, bloody political conflict, or by aging. And of course, we didn't think about COVID. And that's another one. You can add it to the list. How much of identity is rooted in the luck of circumstances, and how much is one's unwavering soul? Some of us find out when things get rough. All time is borrowed time. No promises exist. It likely caused your parents or guardians great pain when they first realized that no matter what they did while raising you, there were no guarantees they could forever protect you from harm. Hope becomes that much more critical. My mom was the last born of 5 sisters and nearly neglected. Her parents were probably all worn out by then. Or her mother was severe because she lost hope in the future, while her father was permissive because he didn't want to be the heavy. My mom told me that even as a child, though she felt largely unloved and unsupported, she always knew she'd be okay, that she would survive. This amazes me, and it still does. She has core strength and was always self-assured, even when nothing external should have given her this idea as a child. Perhaps this is what it is to be blessed and looked after by angels. Yeah, and that feeling remains. And I will try to keep the asides to a minimum, but more recently, we learned that one of my spirit guides, if you remember from the early chapter, April, when April comes in, and she supposedly knows my brother Justin on the other side. And according to a reading that I had with Kim and Intuitive View, April, my guide, is also the guide for our entire family. My mom, my brother, and I. And Kim said that was unusual. She said she'd never come across it before. A guide for multiple people in one family. And I think that reinforces the fact that we are cut from some kind of similar soul cloth, or we are soulmates. My family are my soulmates. Why does it have to be romantic? It could be someone in your family, right? Anyway, I'm tangenting, but what I mean to say is my mom recently said when we were together at lunch at my brother's a handful of weeks ago that she could envision that April was with her. The guide, April was with her when she was a child. She doesn't have a memory of it, but she could envision it. So I don't know exactly what that's about, but if April is indeed a family guide, then it does make sense that my mom would have felt this, maybe this assuring presence in her life, even when she was a child and things were not ideal, because it's very different from the way I felt growing up. Regarding my mom and my brother, without her and my brother's support, I'm not sure how I would have gotten by. I'd likely be a wreck, which explains why there are so many screwed up people all over, badly messing things up. Those poor unloved bastards. But hey, we've got problems too. I guess we should empathize and pity them to the extent we're able, and then we should push them down a flight of stairs. Not really. It says not really in parentheses. Okay? So not really. Not really. You can't predict the future unless you're clairvoyant, nor can you control it. But you can influence it. From there, it's about not just enjoying the mysterious ride, but loving it. For most people, life leads somewhere unexpected. A state of mind and place you never could have envisioned. You didn't know it existed until you arrived. Then you looked around and thought, this is pretty good. There are great challenges ahead for humanity, even when I finished this in 2014, writing it. Global income inequality, climate change, explosive population growth, repressive religious and autocratic governments, corruption of democratic institutions, and the diminishing utility of people due to advancing technology will test the world. We'll have to be brave, and we'll need each other to solve these problems, even people who are very different from us. Absolutely. Lately, my quickie prayer is, God, please be with the world and also me. That way, no soul is left out. We're all one anyway. Fragments seeking a return to wholeness. Everybody's a small slice of the universe. That's the end of chapter 47. And now the epilogue. And the epilogue is called The Best Visitor. The Best Visitor. The first wordy draft of this book was complete by fall 2012, when my mom told Steve and I she was about to have surgery for early stage breast cancer. Wow. So long ago, but yet not. But Steve already knew she was having the procedure. 3 days prior, he'd been visited by a friendly spirit who told him about it and assured him everything would go well and Mom would be fine. It put him more at ease. He told me about his visitor after Mom informed us of her situation and that her surgery would be in just a few weeks. The night I found out about the surgery, I had a dream about people forced to participate in dangerous life or death games of amusement in a sadistic future television show. I was a contestant, and so was Mom. I don't recall the precise task, but I accomplished it and advanced forward. An older couple followed me. They had to arrange objects in a large field in some particular manner, like a jigsaw puzzle, but they were almost too senile to compete. They failed badly. The platform on which they had been working was rigged and flipped upside down, ejecting them 10 stories below, where they were crushed by a mountain of girders, bricks, and debris. The deaths of the older couple made me realize more concretely that these games were not just some joke. Mom was the next contestant. She stood before an enormous grid of glass sheets about the size of a football field. Many of the sheets were perfectly rectangular, the size, weight, and thickness of shop windows. Her task was to find the large, deadly sharp, broken and fragmented plates of glass and eject them from the field. I watched my 5'0" mother run into the grid and start lifting large person-sized fragments, tossing them aside as she advanced. But as I looked at her face, she was smiling. What should have been a life-threatening situation that would frighten some people into paralysis, like the elderly couple, was instead a challenge that she knew she had to rise to in order to survive. That's when the dream ended. I prayed often in the weeks leading up to her surgery, and to my deceased cousin, Georgine, who we called Gigi, and my Aunt Jay, Gigi's mother. Aunt Jay had been depressed a long time before she died. She was addicted to painkillers for years, and her emotional issues adversely affected her relationships with her 5 adult children and also her 4 sisters, including my mom. But I remember happy holidays at her home, too. Aunt Jay cooking and laughing, and my older cousins around me at the long kitchen table. I liked the affectionate way she said my name, Robbie. I hear her voice and see her smile. My mom felt extremely angry at Aunt Jay, because when Gigi was very sick and in the hospital, Aunt Jay and my uncle, Joe, told Mom that she, Steve, and I were not to continue to visit her and that Gigi didn't want to see us. Gigi felt it. Mom felt it was a lie because visiting with Gigi was a great joy, but she angrily honored her sister's instructions, as did I, and Gigi died not long after. Aunt Jay died a few years after Gigi. My mother, my mother refused to attend her funeral. I asked her to reconsider more than once, to consider forgiveness, even though Aunt Jay had been unfair, but she felt strongly betrayed. My mom did. I prayed to Gigi and Aunt Jay to look after my mom to help protect her. It may not have been appropriate, but I told Aunt Jay she owed it to my mom to help see her through. That's how it felt. Mom's surgery lasted 3.5 hours, but her recovery took almost as long because she had a bad reaction to the anesthetic. Yeah, I remember that now. She'd come in at 5:30 that morning, but didn't make it back to her room until 3:30 p.m. Earlier that afternoon, while my mom's second husband, John, and I were waiting at the hospital, I ran into two people I didn't expect to see. The first was my friend Sonia, who I vacationed with in Key West 9 years ago. You may recall Sonia as the one who felt the presence of ancient spirits in a Japanese temple. I hadn't seen her in a while. We'd lost touch. I didn't know she'd been working in that hospital for several years. When I stepped out of the waiting room, we nearly walked into each other. If it had been 10 seconds earlier or later, I'd have missed her entirely. She was surprised to see me. I was surprised but not surprised. You know me in good old synchronicity. Sonia grew up an only child in a religious household in Kentucky and felt her parents' fundamentalism badly stunted their relationship. She went home when her dad was dying, but she didn't feel connected to him during their last visit. Her father tried to reach out to her in a way he hadn't her entire life, but she couldn't feel it. It was too late. Sonia spent many years trying to deprogram from Christian brainwashing, whereas I've gradually come to embrace the idea of a creator, though as I've harped, God is non-denominational. She's not sure if she believes in heaven, while I'm convinced there's more to come. An hour later, John and I were informed we could go to the floor my mom would stay on. On our way up, I ran into Ron, the drummer I'd performed with for nearly 10 years, the same guy who rolled over with me in the truck in Oswego, the accident. That's like chapter 3 or 4, if you recall. Like Sonia, he was amazed to see me. He was there with his own mom. She was scheduled for the next cancer surgery with the same kind female surgeon my mom had had that morning. Okay? This drummer that I played with for 10 years but fell out of touch with too. He said, "What are the chances of running into you here?" "None at all. I no longer believe in coincidence." That was my reply. And that's all. He didn't have anything further to say at that point in time. John and I visited with Mom for an hour. She was still groggy but coherent. After a while, I told her how we'd run into Sonia and Ron with his mom. She was astonished. John went home to take out their dogs, Nellie and Mike. I helped Mom order dinner from the hospital room service menu. Grilled cheese, red beans and rice, vegetable soup, a banana, and carrot cake with vanilla ice cream. She was starving. I told her about my dream of her running through the field of broken glass. I said how moved I was by her apparent joy in the face of the deadly dangerous task. She said, "Oh my God, that's life." Yes, the dangerous game is life. To face it bravely, with joy in the face of tough odds, with one's life literally hanging in the balance, is the lesson. How we cope, how we live, who we decide to be when challenged is the entire test of a human being. To be loving and courageous even when life is littered with broken glass. Nearly 2 years later, Mom's doing great. All the tests have come back negative. There's no evidence of anything residual, and she doesn't need chemotherapy, radiation, or medication. We're hopeful it's gone for good, though one can never be certain. My brother and I never doubted her recovery because we trusted his messenger, though we took the surgery seriously and knew it would be taxing. We didn't arrive here overnight. The clues were spread over decades, nearly a lifetime, right from Mom's childhood. To step back and see the pattern is big. Spirits helped us connect the dots because that's what they want to do for everyone. Our lives are much richer for it. If this is something you humbly seek, you will find it. Embrace the mystery and magic of life, and you too will be embraced. The end. Page 262. That adds up to 10, which I believe is the number of completion. I think that's what they say, right? In Tororo. So, once again, thank you so much to any and all who have watched these videos. Finally, I can ditch these. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. It helped me. I looked forward to Saturdays all year. I believe I started on January 1st, 2021, and then it became an every Saturday thing. And I looked forward to it every week, and I have loved meeting some of you online, on interacting with you in emails and in the comments section. It's been great. It's been so fulfilling. So thanks again for being a part of it with me. And I'm not going away. I don't know exactly what kind of videos I will do. I think that that's going to be okay though, because spontaneous ideas pop into my head. And so I'll just pop on when something happens that catches my attention. It'll maybe be a dream thing, or maybe if other readers are reflecting on something that I think is interesting, I'll give my take on it. Maybe I'll talk about soulful music that I like, introduce you to some things. There's lots of things we could do. But as far as God Laughs at Dirty Jokes, that's a wrap. And I will mention that I have a ton written for the next book. The next book is tentatively titled Life is Magic. This book, I believe, is 78,000 or 80,000 words. Life is Magic is currently 120 to 30,000 words. And it has tons of dream content. And I have to figure out, I think one of the big things I have to figure out is whether the dream content will be separate. Like either like as a, like almost like it'll be included, but like as like a separate, addendum to the main book, or maybe I should chop the dream chapters up and scatter them throughout the book, but I'm not sure if that would be logical, like chronologically. So I got more work to do. It's going to be a while. I like to write. I like to write prose, and I like to write music when I really feel like it, like when I feel inspired. And instead of forcing it, I will force myself to write, but the results are so much better when it's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, I said oh shit. Like, I gotta write, and I gotta write right now. Haha. Right now. That's the best results. And so too will it be with the future videos. I gotta make a video right now, and then you see me, if you want to see me. So thanks again. Many blessings to you. And I will talk to you again soon. Promise. Okay. Bye.